Hey YouTube, how you doing? It's your boy Scotty, aka Scotty Blades, bringing you my first ever YouTube video. I'm going to be discussing how to become a successful barber. I'm going to give you guys a few tips, a few notes. If you want to get a piece of paper and pencil, write down everything I'm talking about. It's things that I learned in the business that I wish were taught to me at a younger age. If you could, also, while we're at it, hit that like and subscribe and stay tuned for more videos. First things first, how to become a successful barber. Becoming a successful barber doesn't mean just going in, getting your barber's license and thinking, oh, wow, I'm going to get customers, I'm going to get money, I'm going to have all the biggest, baddest equipment that ever was made. None of us ever start out with the brand new Gold FX T-liners or the Wall 5-star cordless clippers. We all started somewhere, which brings me to my next point. The first thing you need to know as a barber is being confident in everything you do. Whether it's talking to a customer, applying the clippers, applying scissors, applying the razor, even spraying alcohol, for God's sakes. Anything you do with a customer, you need to have confidence. Because if you don't have confidence, that customer is going to sense it. They're going to understand, like, is this man scared to touch my head? Trust me, I've seen it. I've encountered it. My first time working in a barbershop back in 2014, I was afraid to put clippers on a random person's head. I've been cutting hair since I was 12 years old, but the minute I went to go apply it to an individual that I never even met before, it was a whole nother ball game. Nobody, and I mean nobody, is prepared to just walk into a barbershop and start cutting hair. The number one thing you need to have is confidence. If you ain't got confidence, I don't know. I'm confident in everything I do right now, but you need confidence, period, in everyday life. Even if it pertains to, if you're out there, a baseball player, a basketball player, football player, you got to have confidence in your next at bat. You got to have confidence in your next free throw. You got to have confidence in your next touchdown pass. Whatever you do, confidence is the key. Next thing I want to talk about is passion. If you ain't passionate about being a barber, you ain't ever going to get good at it. There's so many barbers that come in for the wrong reasons. So many barbers, they don't have that little itch for being a barber. Being a barber is not for everybody. Not everybody just wakes up and says, hey, I'm going to be a barber today. It's something that's inside of you. It's an art. People think it's just a regular job. It's not a job. It's a technical job. It's a profession. It's an art. Being an art, the only thing you can do is actually grow and get better. This ain't a job that you're working at McDonald's, flipping burgers, or putting fries in the deep fryer and becoming a professional patty flipper. This is an art. Cutting hair, applying clippers, applying a razor blade, you have to have an eye for it and that niche. Without that, you ain't going to be successful, which all boils down to passion. Being passionate about your job, being passionate about your everyday life. If you have passion for something, you're going to succeed at whatever you do. If you don't, you just ain't find your niche yet. You might go to barber school for a year and a half, 2 years, come to find out, this ain't even what I want to do. Maybe you want to go be an architect. Maybe architecture is your niche. But being a barber is not for everybody. And I hope if you are a barber, you're passionate about your job as much as I am, and passionate about your customers. That's another big thing, being passionate for them, because they can read us barbers more than we can read them. Next thing I want to talk about is schooling and training. First off, schooling. The schooling isn't hard or what people make it seem to be. The schooling is quite simple. And if you just show up, if you just do what you're taught, you'll do fine in the school. The only downfall to schooling is all the hours you have to put in at being certified, depending on the state you live in. Next is the training. Ain't no barber, I don't care who tells you otherwise on YouTube, in person, wherever, ain't no barber got good as soon as they graduated from barber school. I developed my skills starting at the age of 12. By the time I was 14, I was finally able to really do fades. But back then, all my friends, they rocked all low haircuts, Caesars, tape ups, and just basic stuff. It wasn't until I got a little older when people started wanting blowouts and high fades, medium fades, low fades. And that's when you really see how good you really are. Is when people are coming to ask you, yo, bro, can you do this picture for me? And I'm just sitting there like, in my head, I'm thinking, nah, I can't. So that's what made me want to be able to get better, which tied into what I was speaking about before about passion. I'm passionate about my job. So with me being passionate, I was able to get better. And as far as training, the only way you will get better is by continuing to do, continuing to fail. Without failure, there's no success. You can't just come in and master barbering. You're gonna mess up several times. It ain't gonna be once, it ain't gonna be twice. I'd say a good 50 to 100 times, you're gonna mess up somewhere. Whether it's giving a good fade and then messing up the shape up, because then now you killed the whole haircut. It's better to give a decent fade with an excellent shape up than it is to give an excellent fade with a mediocre shape up. Because the shape up's the last part of the haircut. That's the most important part. The crispiest part of the haircut is that shape up. Without the shape up, that haircut's nothing. Next thing is, like I was talking about training, is learning your own technique. Learning your own technique is crucial in becoming a successful barber. Many barbers try to imitate other barbers and end up messing up. You could be starting your line way down here and end up with a high fade up here because you try to do a technique that didn't work for you. Yeah, the school teaches you one technique, but I developed a different technique. I developed a technique where I do the line and I work from top to bottom. I notice almost every YouTube video I've seen, they do their line, then they go up a little bit with a number one, blend out that line, go up with number two, blend out that line. Those techniques only work for them. Everyone has their own way of doing things. So the minute you develop your own technique, you're going to be successful. Don't worry about messing up. Like I said earlier, everyone messes up 50 to 100 times. Develop a technique that works for you. Now I want to discuss the pros and the cons with being a barber. The first thing I love about being a barber is meeting new people. Meeting new people on a daily basis, learning new cultures, learning, and just meeting new people, period, is an enjoyment in the job. Part of as you can tell from my accent, part of being from New York, almost everybody from New York I know is a networker. We like knowing people that I might meet somebody that's a carpenter. One day I might buy a house and I need somebody to do some carpentry. I might meet a plumber. I need some plumbing done. I might meet somebody that makes food. I like to eat. I'm a big boy, you know, so I might want to order some food someday. So meeting new people is my number one thing about being a barber that I love. Second is you're a personal counselor. Not only are you in that barbershop cutting hair, making people look good and feeling good, but you're there to listen to them. They might be having a shitty day and they coming in there for that 15, 20, 30, 45 minutes, whatever, however long it takes you to do their hair or whatever services they getting done. They in there to not only look good, but to feel good. They might be having that shitty day. Their wife might be nagging on them. Their boss might be nagging on them. Somebody might be pissing away at them. But they just want to come in there and feel good. So it's your job to make them feel better. If you don't make them feel better, besides giving a great haircut, they're going to leave. They ain't ever going to come back. Also, tips. Your tip depends on their experience in the chair. It's not only the cut, but it's their experience. I know barbers that are way better than me, because let's be honest, I'm not the best. But they don't make tips like I do. I'll charge somebody $20 for a cut, but then they're giving me $40, $50. It ain't only because the way I cut, it's the way I make them feel when they're in my chair. So make people feel happy, make them feel good about themselves. Also, being a barber, there's always room to grow in the industry. From starting out with just giving shape-ups, to giving haircuts, to giving hot towel shaves, to doing eyebrows, to doing designs, putting color in their hair, putting color in their beard, whatever it is, there's always room to grow in the barber / cosmetology field. Many people will sit there and be like, oh, you ain't a barber if you can't do designs, or hey, you ain't a barber if you can't do a hot towel shave, or whatever the case is. That's not true, because every barber is different and unique in their own way. I might, personally myself, I might not be able to do color as good as the guy in the next chair over. Or he might not be as good as fading as I am. But there's always room to grow, so I can learn that color. He can learn those fades. There's always room to grow if you have passion, like I said earlier, for the job. So this is a job that you can always move up. And the next step from working in the shop is owning that shop. Then maybe owning your own chain of shops. You know, one of my favorite movies is Barbershop. And I like the one where they had the barbershop that opened across the street from them. And they had all the fancy and nicest gadgets and basketball court inside. But people only went there right away because they saw shiny and fancy things. But then somehow Ice Cube was able to get everybody back to his shop at Calvin's. It's because they had a good experience there. With good experience, people gonna come back no matter what. So when you're able to grow, you give people more than what they get at other places. Also, with the ability to grow, it's the ability to make a lot of money. When you grow in a business, no matter what business it is, the income, the revenue, it increases. So be on the lookout for an increase in income. Second, well, next, excuse me, being a barber, like I said earlier, is not just a job. It's a skilled art. It's a trade. Yes, I can go and if I want to leave this barbershop, I could go hop to the next. I could go hop to the next. You know, will I do that? No. But I will never take for granted the opportunity that the Lord has given me. These hands are my bread and money makers. Without these hands, I don't make money. So, yes, this is a skilled trade. It's an art. You gotta have passion. You gotta. There's so many things you gotta have to be a barber. And another pro to this job is it's inexpensive to start. Whether you want to open a barbershop or whether you want to just, whether you're starting out as a barber in a barbershop, it's not expensive to start. Everyone thinks you got to right away go out, buy the latest T-outliner cordlesses, the magic clippers, all these fancy clippers, when reality, I started with a set of Walmart clippers. And I got good and mastered blending with Walmart clippers. And then my next clipper after that was an Oster fast feed. The Oster fast feeds, moving from a Walmart clipper to those, that was the truth. Next thing you know, I was buying super tapers, I was buying seniors, I was buying the classics, the Oster 76s. And, you know, now I'm up to 90% of my clippers now are all cordless. So I went from spending 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 bucks now to 150, 200 bucks just for a set of clippers. So, but that's me progressing in the business. I didn't just come out and say, oh, let me go get a wireless clipper or this or that. Actually, when I started out, they barely had a single wireless clipper. Even back when I was 14 years old, they didn't have nothing that was wireless. Barely an electric shaver to shave off your neck after you already lined it up was cordless. So the cordless things definitely up the game. And in my later videos, I'm going to talk about different clippers and different T-liners and what the disadvantages and advantages are to help give all you beginners out there that are learning and coming up in the business explanation to which ones work for me, which ones might work for you. And the last pro about this job that I want to talk about is the money. First off, if you're doing this for the money, if you're doing anything in life for money, you're in a world of shit. Because doing anything for money, it's just wrong. If you don't have passion for the job, you won't succeed. And without succeeding, you won't make money. So with that being said, is there good money involved in being a barber? You damn right there is. There's times where I could make $1,500, $2,000 a week, easy, clean in my pocket. And that's after paying the boot rent. You look at it like that, that's $8,000 a month. How many jobs, you know, people work these jobs, make $8,000 a month. Well, I could make in a week. Some people only make in a month. So the money's out there. The money's good. But don't do it for the money. Do it because you're passionate about the job, passionate about your customers. That's what you need to focus on first if you even want to think about being successful in this business. Now I've talked about the pros. I want to get into the cons. Yes, being a barber, we have a lot of pros, but there's also a lot of cons. The major first thing I want to talk about being a con is the amount of hours. I know you see barbershops, you probably around your hometown, wherever you live right now watching this video, whether it's New York, whether it's Jersey, whether it's California, Texas, Oklahoma, Wisconsin, wherever the hell you are. There's barbershops that close early for some reason. And those are the barbershops that everyone 90% of the time stays away from. Me, for instance, I work in a Dominican shop. All Hispanics, I'm the only white guy. And yeah, I am white, I'm Italian. But there's one thing that stands out with us that the other barbershops don't do, is we stay open late. We're there from 9, 10 o'clock in the morning till 8, 9, 10, 11, whatever time that last customer leaves, that's when we're there. And then, yeah, we're still cleaning up and getting ready for the next day. But those long hours, they add up. And if you got a day off, enjoy that day. Spend it with your family. Spend it on you. Do some me time, because come that Monday morning, Tuesday morning, whenever you return back to work, be ready to grind. That's all this business is about, is you got to be able to grind. Next, take the time to build your clients. Don't just sit there and expect customers to pour right through your door. When I was a young barber and I started working in the barbershop, the first thing I was thinking was, oh, I'm going to get all these customers in my chair. I'm going to do whatever I got to, this, that, and other, whatever. The worst feeling in the world is being turned down by a new customer and saying, nah, I'm going to wait for this person. Nah, I'm going to wait for that person. I'm sorry, this. I've heard 1,000,001 excuses, and I've worked only in 2 Dominican shops my whole life. And both those Dominican shops, I was the only white guy. And you know how hard it is to convince somebody that I'm the white guy, that I can cut just as good as the next guy next to me? It's pretty damn fucking hard. But you know what? I found a way. I started getting my friends, started getting some family. Come in, let me give them free haircuts or whatever, just to start showing people that are waiting for haircuts that, hey, I can cut too. Next thing you know, onesies and twosies popping in my chair like, hey, you got a chance? Let me cut. Can you cut my hair? Yeah, man, come on, let's go. No matter what, I always took an opportunity to get someone in my chair. I made flyers. I promoted myself on Facebook. I just recently got an Instagram because I've never been too big on social media, but as I've learned, social media is the key to any kind of successful growth right now. So I turned to social media to help me. And little by little, some people started coming and requesting me. I started seeing reviews on Google about me. And it makes you start to feel good. And when you start to feel good, you start to do good. And when you do good, people notice. So next thing you got is you just got done doing a beautiful high skin fade. And as they're walking out the barbershop, they might run into somebody at a store. Hey, man, where'd you get that haircut? Oh, you got to go check out my boy Scotty down at such and such. Next thing you know, I got random people coming through the door saying, hey, is Scotty here? And I'll be like, yeah, I'm right here. Half the time they're shocked coming to a Dominican barbershop seeing a white guy. But you know what? I built a reputation for myself. So it takes time to get customers. Another con about the business is you get a lot of pain. And I'm not talking about pain in your wallet or pain anywhere crazy, but you get pain in your feet, your legs, and your back. Be prepared with those long hours. You're going to feel it. Most people sit there and say, oh man, how hard is it to be a barber? besides applying clippers to someone's head or doing a shape up. It's pretty damn hard when you're standing in one spot for 10, 11, 12 hours. And even though you're wearing, expensive shoes or wearing Dr. Scholl's inserts, your feet start to wear. So with that being said, there's a lot of pain in your body that's associated with being a barber. It's not an easy job, and like I said earlier, it's not a job for everybody. But you know what? One thing I don't do is sit there and complain. I don't complain to customers like, oh, my fucking back, oh, my feet, whatever. I don't sit there and do that. I sit there and will continue my cuts and then let them go about their day. So there is, a lot of ups about the business, but there's a few downs, and the feet pain, that's one of them. My heels be killing me almost every single day. But you know what? There's an old saying we said when I was in the Marine Corps, that pain is weakness leaving the body. So if it don't kill you, it's going to make you stronger. Another con about the business, just like any other customer service, is some customers can be a pain in the butt. And I mean that with all my heart. I love my customers. I'm thankful for all my customers, because without them, I can't eat. I don't have a roof over my head. I don't have a car. I don't even have any recording device. I don't have a phone. I don't have nothing. And my son and my daughter, they won't be able to eat either. So my customers, not mine in general, but some customers in general, can be a pain in the ass. They might sit there and tell you, hey man, let me get a low fade. Now, anyone knows what a low fade. If you don't, I'm going to tell you right now. A low fade is you take the line, you start right here, and you come down and go down. Now, depending on what part of the United States you're from, a low fade could mean several other things. In New York, a low fade, or down here a low fade, is like I explained. Somewhere out west, somebody says they want a low fade, or somewhere down south, that means to them, they want you to just cut their hair low and even. To me, to every other New Yorker, that's a Caesar. That's a low, and either want a low a light Caesar or a dark Caesar. That ain't no low fade. A fade is something that's blended. And then a lot of people come in and tell me, can I get a tape up? Well, a tape up is a haircut. A tape up is a little fade right here on the sides and a little fade in the back. But apparently down south, a tape up is just a lineup. Where I'm from, that's either a lineup or a shape up. But then again, I'm where I'm at right now, so I got to deal with all the lingo. But sorry for being sidetracked, but yeah, some customers can be a pain in the butt. So you got to be patient with them. Don't show your aggression towards them. You see all these crazy YouTube videos about barbers fighting their customers, or their customers fighting their barbers, because customers, no matter what job you're in, a customer can be a pain in the butt. So just be patient and you'll be fine. The last problem or con that I have in the barber shop is, unless you're the owner of the barber, if you ain't working, you ain't getting paid. So that means if you want to take that week vacation, or you're sick, or you want to, whatever you want to do, any time off, that's no money in your pocket. So a big thing is saving. Save as much as you can. Right now I'm filming this and it's just a week before Christmas. And one of the busiest times in a barbershop is about tomorrow slash Thursday all the way till Christmas Eve. And yeah, we're open Christmas Eve. And I can make, like, in 4 or 5 days, anywhere from two grand to 2,500. And that's not me rushing or busting haircuts out too fast. That's just my regular customers. Because everybody goes on vacation. They all, and everybody wants those Christmas ready family pictures. So, but if you don't work, you're not going to get paid. So it's a small little con that I have about being a barber. But at the same time, it makes me, when I get back in that shop from that vacation or if I was sick, it makes me just grind 10 times harder. Posting my stuff on Facebook like, y'all, I'm back in the shop, or texting or calling all my customers like, hey, I'm back. When they can schedule appointments with me or whatever the case may be, but not working or taking days off or sick, it's the only time you ain't gonna get paid in the barbershop. Because I don't want to end this on cons. One pro to that is you go to the barbershop on Monday and you ain't have no money in your pocket when you walked in. By the end of close of business that day, if you were decent to good to great barber, you're going to walk out with cash in your pocket. That's one of the upsides that I have about being a barber. Next, I want to talk about tools and equipment. Tools and equipment is very vital in being a barber, from the beginning to the end. When you're first starting out, I mentioned it before, I'll keep saying it, I tell everybody all the time, do not go out and buy all these expensive clippers if you don't even know if you're passionate about this business, first off. Second off, get a hang for holding the clippers. Don't be buying no $200 clippers and you don't know how to even place them down without damaging the teeth on the blades. Because a lot of people don't know, you barely put them down the wrong way, they'll chip on you. And then next thing you know, your blade's messed up. One little tiny little chip on a blade on your clippers will cut the hell out of someone's neck or scalp. So you can't use them no more. You got to go ahead, run down to your local beauty supply store. My favorite is actually down in Atlanta. It's called Atlanta Barber Beauty Supply, and I'm going to put their link down in the comment section. They have one of the largest, best selections. I've been shopping with them for 7 years. And if you can't get a hold of that on the internet, if you don't have no access to being able to order online, no credit card or whatever the case may be, you can always just, I guess, revert back to your local Sally's Beauty Supply or any other little Cosmo Professional, any one of those. You can get some of your stuff, but don't start off with expensive stuff until you got to hang for it, until you got to feel how your hands feel after cutting hair, and which ones are working best for you. Because one problem I had was I wanted the biggest, baddest clippers there ever was. I wanted to be that guy like that could show off like, hey man, look, I got the new 5-star seniors. Don't do that. It's a waste of money because you could spend a good, I would say, $250 to $300 getting yourself set up for success. I don't know, where I live here, T outliners cost about $65-70. So get you a set of those. I don't like those, start telling people to start with those little peanuts because To me, those are like the biggest waste of money, even though they're from my favorite brand, Wall. Wall is good. Wall is great. Almost all my regular clippers are Wall. All my T-liners are Andes. There's a big difference. And I still have yet to get me a pair of them gold FXs, the Bay Blisses. Those things look so beautiful. I've been hearing the only downfall is you got to zero gap them, which ain't no problem. Any experienced barber can do it. And I heard it even comes with the little zero gap kit to do it yourself. So get you a pair of Andes T outliners. Get you a pair of super tapers, Wall super tapers. They run about 40 something, $50, and those clippers, I've had mine for about 7 years. I don't use them in the shop no more, but those things are still running. Them things, it's like they don't die. I heard a bunch of reviews that people don't like them, that they die out right away. If you don't take care of your clippers, first off, nothing's gonna work. You gotta oil them. You gotta spray them down. After every single cut, I brush my clippers off and I spray them down with Barbicide. After about 6 or 7 cuts, maybe 8, depending on how busy I am, I might not be able to upkeep with oiling them every so often, but at least 2 times, I would say at least 2 times a day, I oil my clippers. And it just keeps it good for the blades. They don't grind down, and when the blades get grinding too much, they start to get really hot. And trust me, them clippers get hot enough to where they'll leave a burn on someone's neck. So I wouldn't invest in nothing crazy. Just get you a T outliner, get you a Wall super taper. Invest in a regular old straight razor. Don't get nothing crazy fancy, nothing name brand. I started out with a Magic. The brand was Magic straight razor blade, and I've been using Dorco blades forever. I don't know. I don't like any other brand. I probably will never use any other brand. Dorco blades are the only blades I've been using. And those are the 3 main things you need for being a barber: is a straight razor, a T outliner, and clippers. Then you have your scissors. Most people don't even know how to use scissors. That's another thing. I wouldn't go and buy scissors from somewhere that I didn't know was a reputable place. I actually personally only buy my scissors through Sally's. Online, they have a 10 times bigger selection than in store. But all my scissors, or the correct term, shears, were purchased through Sally's. And I actually purchased one pair I purchased from Atlanta Barber and Beauty Supply, ABBS. But other than that, the rest I purchased through Sally's. So you do need a pair of scissors. I have, I would say, 3 or 4 pairs. I have my thinning shears, my little 5-inch blades, and then I got my 7 inches. Unless you're experienced in knowing how to cut and blend with scissors, I wouldn't start off getting 7, even 6 inches. I wouldn't even get a 6-inch scissors, because some of them are heavy, and some of them you don't know how to do the hand motions or anything like that. So I would stick with just the basic scissors, get you a $30, $40 pair. And so far right now, you're about $150 out of your pocket right now for the basics. Now you got to pick up your Barbicide, you got to pick up your sprays, get little neck duster, dusting off the hair. Got to get you powder, neck strips, get you a barber's cape. So I would put everything, just to start a brand new barber, about $250 No more than 300. Don't waste your money on anything crazy. Everyone starts at the bottom and works their way up. I don't care who you are, where you're from. Nobody starts at the top. And nothing people do. Just like this video. This is my first video and it's the first of many. I'm starting with this simple video at the bottom. So just make sure you don't waste or get it into expensive items just because, oh, this person on YouTube has it, or that barber down the block that you've been going to for 20 years has it, because he's evolved into those items. He's evolved into that equipment. You just can't pick up a 5-star senior cordless and start going to work and expect to have control over it. Because the first time I bought them, it takes a few cuts to get used to. You know, you just don't get used to it the first person you start cutting. You get a feel for it, and it going from cord to cordless was the hardest transition I think I made in the barber business. Because I went from having to hold a wire like this when I'm doing, like if I'm doing designs, holding my clippers like this, to, or going around holding, lining up, T-lining, you know, because the cord gets stuck in the arm for the chair. It's just a pain in the butt, but you got to start somewhere, and that's the place to start. So don't waste your money. Don't waste your time. Those simple items I just told you to get, best believe they will make you plenty of money. Now the do's and the don'ts. Do. Promote yourself. Make flyers. Social media, I mentioned it before. Notice everything I do is repetition, because that's the way I learn, by hearing or seeing things more than once. It starts to click in my head like, oh, you know what? That's starting to make sense. So promote yourself. Do be happy. Do make your customers happy. You walk in with a pout on your face or look like you're pissed off that you got 10 people there and you're not going to be able to go on that lunch break or whatever the case is. Don't do that. You need to make your customers happy. You need to be happy to see customers, because ain't no customer gonna want to spend money with somebody that ain't happy to see them. So be happy. Focus on their wants and their needs. If you're focusing on everything else going on in the barbershop besides your customer, you're wrong. If you're watching the Patriots-Giants Super Bowl in the barbershop, and yeah, I'm a Giants fan. I love the Giants. And I'm sorry for all y'all Patriot fans in 2007-11. But don't focus on that football game on TV. Focus on that individual that's sitting in your chair. If they want a high fade with 2 parts on the side, and you give them a high fade with no parts, they're gonna remember that. They might not sit there and say right off the bat, yo, bro, can you still put those 2 lines in like I said? They're not gonna say something. They're gonna go to the next barber next time and be like, see if he remembers, see if he acknowledges everything they said. Because if he does, you just lost yourself a customer. So focus on everything they want and need. And like I said, focus on them in in your chair. If you're sitting there and, you know, you're on the phone while they're in your chair, you know, I watched a video earlier talking about what us barbers don't like. Well, I know what customers don't like as well, because before I got into becoming a professional barber, even though I cut hair since I was 12, before I became a professional, I always observed in the barbershop what barbers do and don't like. And it's a different ballgame once you become a barber, because when you're actually in that pilot seat and you're cutting hair, you're making money, whatever. You got to start focusing on them customers. And like I said, if you don't, they're going to hop in the next chair and they're just going to say, well, forget this guy. And the last thing you need to do is an excellent job. And like I said earlier, give them a great experience. That's pretty basic for the do's. Now the don'ts. Don't expect your customer to appear. Like I said earlier, you need to promote. You do not need to beg and go up to a customer and start begging them, come on, bro, come on, try me out. Because all you're going to do is make them uncomfortable and pissed off. So just relax. If you're passionate and you promote and you do what I told you to do earlier, you'll get them. Next, don't rush. If you got a new customer in your chair, a new one, never cut his hair before, especially most of my customers are predominantly black. And most black customers, they like, they get waves in their hair. And waves is not easy to cut. One of my favorite, and I respect him so much, one of my favorite YouTube barbers is 360 Jeezy. That man started out YouTube just by showing us a video of his waves, a time lapse, and became one of the top level YouTubers. In my opinion, he's one of the best as far as the wave game goes. And so I actually sit there and I pay attention to every one of his videos, especially when he has somebody that has waves, because there's always room to grow, like I said earlier, and I'm passionate about my job, so I like learning about it. So I pay attention to him. And if you go the wrong way, or there's this little area back here called the crown. When you got waves that you're going with the grain and you cut into that crown, you just made a bald spot. Now you can expect somebody's fist across your face, or depending on the type of neighborhood you in, you can expect a bullet through your head. So you might want to pay attention to your job and pay attention to your customer. That's a big thing. Next I'm going to hit on is, do not skip a customer. If you got somebody waiting 2 hours, even though you've been busy, and then all of a sudden your homeboy come walking in the barbershop, or your cousin, or your friend, it don't matter who it is. I don't care. My family, my dad, my brothers, they all wait in the barbershop. I tell them, I got this many customers, that's it. Now, if you got a customer that's been waiting and you see it's getting closer to, let's say, 4 o'clock, and you knew you had a 4 o'clock appointment, do not let that customer sit there the entire time without knowing you had an appointment. Let that customer know, hey, bro, I have an appointment. My customer is going to be here at such and such time. Either do you mind waiting till I'm done cutting his hair? Or do you want to come back and I'll save you a spot in line? And guess what? Customer will respect you more and appreciate it. Because now, the whole time they could have been doing something else when you took your homeboy or your relative or whoever in, and now you wasted their time. And time is valuable. Time is money. Time is key to everything. That's the only thing in this world we will not get back is our time. So you definitely don't want to waste your customer's time. So be sure that when you got a customer and he been waiting on you, make sure you let them know in advance that, hey, I have a customer. If not, you, as soon as that guy gets out your chair, you better be taking that guy that's been waiting. So do not skip a customer. And if you want to be a barber, it kind of contradicts, but it doesn't, what I said about the starting equipment. That equipment's pretty cheap, but it ain't as cheap as Walmart equipment. So when you're looking at it that way, Walmart equipment is, it's not bad if you're doing like your own hair at home, and or you have a little boy at home and you're cutting his hair once a week, once every 2 weeks. But it's not built for longevity in the barbershop. Those clippers will not last 2-3 haircuts in a row. I've watched barbers try to get by on using it, and right away they turn over to getting themselves a decent pair of clippers. So don't waste your money on cheap stuff, because A, your haircuts are going to come out looking cheap, and B, you're going to realize they're cheap equipment when they start burning out or start to give way. If you see my hair, I have pretty nice long hair. If you go to try to put a Walmart clipper through my head, you're going to get that because it's getting jammed, the blade. It won't cut no more. But if you go to put Wall 5-star seniors, and yeah, I keep mentioning them because they're my favorite clippers. But if you go to run those through my head, it's gonna cut right through my head like it's a knife going through butter. So don't get no cheap stuff. So I want to say thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it gave you a lot of insight into what it takes to become a successful barber. If you could, just go ahead and click that like, subscribe button down below, and leave any questions or comments you have. I'll be happy to answer all of them. Like every video I'm going to be covering that's instructional, I will always have a conclusion. So I just want to recap what we went over. Went over the do's and don'ts, the pros and cons. Remember, always be confident, be passionate, the training, and the equipment. Once again, I'm Scotty, aka Scotty Blades. Please click that like and subscribe button. And follow me on Instagram at scotty.blades. That's BLADEZ.